pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of Bowling Green City Council. We thank you all for attending this evening. Kay, would you please begin by calling the roll?
Osbacher.
Here.
Gordon. Jeffers.
Here.
McComber. Roland.
Here.
Seeliger.
Here.
Zanfordino.
Here.
The minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting that was held on September 18th, 2017 were presented to council prior to this meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to these minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. The minutes are approved as presented. Kay, do we have correspondence this evening?
Yes, distributed to you prior to the meeting was a listing of budget transfers to be made for the month of October, and those require your approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the budget transfers?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. The budget transfers are approved as presented.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Kay. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Mayor Edwards, who has a special presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of council, and all assembled. We have a special proclamation presentation this evening, and I'm going to ask three individuals to come forward because I think they're representing the Christian Food Pantry as well as the Brown Bag Food Project. So I'm going to ask Lynn Long, Joe Vernon, and Linda Myers to please come forward. Whereas the Christian Rural Overseas Program, CROP, began in 1947. I did not realize that, even though I've done this several times, I keep forgetting how long it's been around. With the primary mission of sharing grain from the Midwest United States with post-World War II Europe and Asia. And whereas today locally organized Church World Service-sponsored crop hunger walks are an important part of community life for more than 2,000 towns and cities in the United States, bringing together people of different faiths, diverse cultures, and all age groups. And whereas in the last 15 years alone, crop hunger walks have raised over $200 million to bring help and hope to people in need around the world and in the United States. And whereas each year crop hunger walks help more than 3,200 local food pantries, food banks, and meal sites in the United States to provide food to neighbors in need, including our own Bowling Green Christian Food Pantry and the Brown Bag Food Project. And whereas the annual Crop Hunger Walk will be held on October 15th, 2017, to help our community become more aware of and concerned about hunger and its causes. And whereas the Crop Hunger Walk will raise funds to help stop hunger, both locally and globally. Now, therefore, I, Richard Edwards, Mayor of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, do hereby recognize Sunday, October 15th, 2017, as Crop Hunger Walk Day. Thank you very much for your leadership. And would one of you care to comment, or all three of you might wish to say something on behalf? Linda and Lynn and Joe?
I would just like to invite you all to join us on October the 15th at 1 o'clock at City Park. Music, food, and raising money for a wonderful cause.
That was painless. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we move on to lobby visitation. At this point in our meeting, we welcome anyone in attendance that is interested in speaking to council about items on this evening's agenda or other business pertaining to the city of Bowling Green to do so. If you are going to speak to council, the first step would be to have signed in with our clerk prior to meeting. I would like to begin lobby visitation. We do have two special visitors this evening. I'd like to begin with Superintendent Francis Scrucci, who is going to give us a brief presentation on the pending school facilities level.
Thank you. Thank you, President. Thank you, Council, for giving us the opportunity tonight. I'm not going to do the hour presentation that normally takes to explain the whole project, but I am going to make a statement. As you all are aware, the Bowling Green City Schools are on the ballot November 7th. We have a proposed 37-year, $72 million bond issue. And the purpose of that bond issue will be to build new consolidated elementary, renovate and partial new build of a high school, and the repurpose of Crim Elementary. The plan is one that will result in new revenue streams and cost savings while improving the academic environment for our students and staff. This plan will create equity for our elementary students in the form of opportunities, resources, and class sizes. The proposed plan will create the opportunity for our elementary staff to collaborate on a daily basis, thus impacting the delivery of instruction and benefit each and every student in our district, which currently doesn't happen due to the staffs being separated by buildings. Let me make one thing clear. This is not about air conditioning, but it is about meeting the needs of today's academic classroom and being able to put our Bowling Green students on a level playing field with their counterparts in the area as well as the state. Many of our neighboring districts enjoy the benefits of increased enrollment, spaces, and accommodate today's instructional methods, better resources, and the opportunities to become successful. The vote in November is an investment in our students, our staff, our schools, our community, and the future of Bowling Green. Our schools are woefully behind the area schools in terms of facilities, and while I believe you're familiar with the particulars of our proposal, tonight I want to focus on what this will mean for our community. Yes, this is a bold and courageous initiative, but it is a necessity to allow us to help our students compete. In addition, this will help our city attract new families and industries while retaining the great families and business and industry already found in our wonderful community. As stated in last week's Sentinel, Mayor Edwards pointed out the recent successes enjoyed by the city and the university. And I must ask why the city schools shouldn't be a part of what we are proud. We have aged buildings that have served us well, and while we've maintained those facilities, we are now at a crossroad, and the decision in November will be one that will be a game changer. November will help determine the direction not only of our schools, but in part the direction of our city. As we've illustrated in the past 15 months, many families moving to this area are not choosing to settle here, but are choosing the neighboring communities to have their children educated in buildings that are equipped to give their sons or daughters the academic environment to compete on a global scale. Their buildings are designed with the technological age in mind, flexible spaces that accommodate project-based learning, problem solving, and a temperature-controlled environment that afford them the opportunity to be successful in today's classroom. As I stated earlier, this project is on the ballot for approval, but it will also create revenue streams and cost savings. By consolidating our elementaries into one, we eliminate 3 shuttle routes that will reduce our operating costs by over $100,000. And over the 37-year period will result in a net savings of $3.7 million. By moving our central office operations to Crim, we save an additional $60,000 from our operating budget and will result over 37 years in a $2.2 million savings. I must also add that this will also add value to the revitalization of the East Side as part of the community action plan. By consolidating, we also eliminate the need to have the modular units, one in particular at Conneaut, thus saving us $25,000 a year and resulting in $900,000 in savings. The district will also enjoy savings of $4,000 each year for commencement, $4,500 for renting space for a preschool classroom. That results in savings again over those 37 years of $300,000 plus. Combined, the aforementioned savings total over $7 million of operating cost, and that is before factoring the costs from closing of Conneaut and Kenwood, and then furthermore, creating a unit at Crim to meet the needs of our students with special needs could result in additional savings by being able to provide supports not possible today. Those savings conservatively would be in the neighborhood of an additional $100,000 per year. So when you total all that up, $72 million is a lot of money. And we've never once shied away from saying that. We understand that. But this would also allow us to expand our preschool, and we would have a revenue stream that we don't currently enjoy. And once you total all of that, our savings over 37 years would be somewhere in the vicinity, conservatively, of $11 million. And as I said before, I think that's a healthy return on a $72 million investment. While the cost savings and revenue streams are obvious, we cannot forget that these are local tax dollars that we're referring to, and we've made a commitment of being excellent stewards of the tax dollars entrusted to the district by the members of our community. If successful in November, and with the anticipated increase in new families joining one of the best hometowns in Ohio, our tax base will broaden and lessen the burden currently held by the approximately 18,000 permanent residents. This is the beginning of my third year in Bowling Green, and part of our district strategic plan has been to build partnerships with the university and the city. And I believe that those partnerships have never been stronger as I've witnessed the efforts to work collaboratively with each other. We as a district have enjoyed the relationship and look forward to moving and growing together. It is our hope that we have the support of each of you individually, and you will help join us in making a difference in the lives of our students currently and those for decades to come. I want to thank you again for allowing me to address you on that part. At this time, I'd also like to bring it to everybody's attention. Some of you may have received this today. This was sent out anonymously, okay? And it is not worth the paper it was printed on. Because while it comes across as, oh, this is an alert to allow people to know that there's a bond issue, we haven't hid. We've been transparent from day one. We've been out there. I'm killing myself going from place to place to make sure our message is out there and the information is out there. For someone to do this is totally underhanded, because you can mess with me. This is messing with the kids, because it's nothing but a lie. And this number that's put on the back is an unadulterated lie. I have a home that's over $300,000. Okay? My half tax is $2,200. Even with the passage of our bond issue, my taxes for the year would only be $5,000. This person, and we know who it is, would rather remain anonymous, and that's fine. Says that the increase on our taxes for a $200,000 home is $6,365 a year. Now, let me go back over that. I own a house over $300,000, and I'm only going to pay $5,000. This person is saying $200,000, and it's going to cost $1,300 more than mine. So either I've been cheating the county and the city on my property taxes, or this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And I'm going to guess, because I've done my homework, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. So I would hope that when you and your neighbors get this, that you put it where it belongs, and that's the trash, because that's all it's worth. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scrucci. I do appreciate you taking the time to come to speak to council this evening.
I'd be remiss, and I apologize. You know how I get on a roll, guys. I want to thank our teachers that are here tonight. I want to thank our board members who showed. I got Ginny Stewart, got Bill Clifford, and I have Paul Walker, along with many of our teachers from throughout the district. And I want to appreciate the support here, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scrucci. As I mentioned, I did want to thank you for taking the time to come to City Council this evening. Fitting this in your busy schedule, it seems like I read somewhere that you're at a different place every night. So thanks for all your hard work.
The full version next.
Wonderful. Well, good luck. While we're talking about this particular issue, I would like to take just a moment and would certainly welcome the comments of other council members, but I would like to take just a moment to offer my strong personal endorsement for this levy request. Speaking from my position as a participant in city government, Mr. Scrucci alluded to the strong relationship between our city schools and our city government, and also alluded to the very, I think, indisputable link between the health of the city and the health of our city schools. I could not agree more. I think that certainly a healthy, vibrant school system contributes very greatly to the quality of life and the vibrancy of our city that has been recognized by so many people. So I think based on that, again, in my position as a member of city government, it's easy to offer this, my endorsement for this proposal just based on what is going to contribute to our community. As I've thought about it on a personal basis, I can't help but reflect on my time as a very young person attending city schools in Bowling Green, and the quality experience educationally that I had, and also reflect on the fact that I have two sons that also attended Bowling Green City Schools and graduated, and thanks in large part to the experience that the educational experience that they were able to have in the city schools. They've gone on and they are now really doing very well, and I think that certainly those two things are linked together. So I can't help but think of the long tradition of community support for our city schools, and reflect on the fact that when I was young and when my children were young, there were my parents, my grandparents, aunts and uncles, and other people in our community that routinely supported our schools by supporting levy requests. And I feel like there comes a time in every generation where it's your time to pay it forward. So I would like to, I guess, encourage everybody that has had the value of the experience that I've had throughout this community to consider the possibility that this is our time. This is our time to pay it forward. And certainly I think that we have to trust in the school board and the superintendent, as they have demonstrated consistently to be good stewards of our tax dollars. So I would just ask everybody in the community to take a couple of minutes and reflect on the very positive role of the community, of the schools in our community, and hopefully consider voting yes for the request in November.
Mr. President? Mr. President, I would like to add that the city of Bowling Green and the Bowling Green school system have certainly been great to me. I couldn't wish to live in a better city than Bowling Green, one that's so safe and so neighborly and is such a strong community. And I couldn't have wished to go to a better school than Bowling Green Schools. I had great teachers that I have never forgotten. And I want to thank the teachers who are so busy and still took time to come tonight. I don't want to let that out. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. While I had a great school, I graduated from the high school in the first graduating class. Giving away a lot of personal information when I say that. So I had a brand new, great, up-to-date school at that time. When my grandson was going to school in Bowling Green until a couple years ago, he went to Kenwood. He didn't have nearly the great school and elementary school that I had. There were a few days when he was not allowed to drink out of the drinking fountain because there was black water coming out of it. And if I recall properly, the problem was the lines were just old. We had old water lines, and the water would turn black. He went to elementary school in a school that probably was not up to code with electric, with fire safety. Safety's real important to me now, given the day and age we're in, and with little children in school worrying about safety. The heating system wasn't good, and of course, he did swelter the first few days of school every year and came home being nothing but a grouch at the end of the day because of what he had to sit through during the day. So I'm saying Bowling Green has been good to me and to all of us who live in Bowling Green, and any of us who are fortunate to have gone to the Bowling Green School. And the time is here now that we have to invest in the city of Bowling Green. Investing in the city of Bowling Green by supporting our important levy will make a huge difference. I'm fortunate to be an active realtor, And when Dr. Scrucci says a lot of people are turning to live in Perrysburg because they don't like our school system, I'm the driver of the cars that has to take them there. I know firsthand what they say about our schools compared to Perrysburg. Now, I'll never say that they have better teachers in Perrysburg. We have the best. But many people choose Perrysburg schools over Bowling Green. It's time to stop that and bring those people to work, to live in Bowling Green, and to enjoy our neighborhoods just like we do. So I also join Mike in encouraging you to take this very, very seriously. I'm going to reveal one more thing since Dr. Scrucci spoke. I live in a $200,000 house, Dr. Scrucci, and I tabulated my tax increase, and it was nothing, thank God, close to what this postcard is saying it will be. And I use the auditor's office tabulation, so I know my figures are right. So I didn't get this postcard today, but I think it's a good idea also to throw it in the wastebasket and listen to people who know our community well and love our community deeply. So please, please support our schools November 7th.
I have a long connection with Bowling Green City Schools since 1963. I started kindergarten at Kenwood, left for a few decades and came back. Both of my sons also graduated recently from Bowling Green High School. And I like Perrysburg a lot. There's a lot of really good people there. They have a lot of great things going on. About 13 years ago, we deliberately chose to leave Perrysburg to come back to Bowling Green for the schools. And I'll just leave that part go at that. I really appreciate what President Osbacher said and Sandy, and as chair of the Economic Development Committee, and as all of us look for ways to move forward with our business and industry, we're well aware that our industries need qualified people to work in them. And I firmly believe that, as Sandy said, people are interested in the facilities of the school as well. We need good facilities. The school board has done a really good job of getting community input before moving forward with this particular plan. So it's not out of the blue. It's all been up front. One last thing, I think that we all have been very careful in the last several years with our spending. We're not tied to the schools in any official way, but as members of the community and leaders of the community, we recognize that taxpayers are only have one pocketbook for the various entities they have to pay for. So I just think that we've tried to be very careful and mindful that when the school is ready to make an important move like this, that we're all behind it.
Well, I'm just going to echo the rest of my colleagues here. I hate to see people moving in, and we've got a university here that there's a lot of transition, and I dislike watching people move in and then decide they're going to live in another area. And if I look around us, I see Elmwood with a new school, and Otsego with a new school, and Perrysburg with a new school, and Eastwood is putting in new additions now. And like Sandy said, it's time. We've got a great community. We're named one of the best hometowns in Ohio, not for the first time, multiple times. But if we just let that go and don't do what needs to be done, we're not going to have that prestige. We're not going to have that honor. This needs to be done. It's a big pill to swallow, but it's the right thing to do. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dr. Francis on this, our superintendent, for the passion he's put in and the hard work he's put in of spreading the word, of being transparent. There's no secrets that are holding back there, and And I appreciate what you've done that way. So best of luck with that.
I'd just like to certainly echo what my colleagues are saying, and you didn't know you were going to get an honorary doctorate tonight, Superintendent Scucci, but, we surprise people. But I've heard several presentations about this, and of course I will fully support this. And, it saddens me to see, I haven't seen the postcard yet, but I'm the kind of person that gets the mail sometimes the next day. I maybe received that fake news. But I think that's very sad. And I guess I expected that to come. And I just hope that people will go with the newspaper rather than self-serving postcards that we'll probably get several of. And I hope people also reflect on where they see yard signs go up. Yard signs go up in residences. That's a true issue of support. If they pop up a lot on rentals, do people even know that it's in their yard? So to be very candid, I just hope that you really sort through real news and fake news as we go forward. Thanks again, Francis.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Francis. We are also happy to have Brandy from Wood County Job and Family Services with us this evening, who would like a few minutes.
Hi, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our protective service levy that will be on the ballot as well. As you said, my name is Brandy. I'm the investigation supervisor at Wood County Job and Family Services. The protective services levy, or the human services levy, is to help us with costs for placement of children in foster care as needed, our adult protective unit that works with elder abuse and things like that. It's not a new tax, it's a renewal of our 10-year levy. It's 1.3 mil, and we've had it since 1987. It's never increased, it's been the same. The levy costs the owner of a $100,000 home approximately $3 a month or $36 a year. Wood County is the only county in the state to reduce or suspend collection of the levy 6 times over the last 30 years. So if we're sitting okay financially and we don't need it, we don't collect it for that year. We only take what we need to be responsible to the taxpayer. We need the levy because Ohio is the 50th in the country for state funding support of child abuse programs. Without local support, the program would be severely weakened. In 2017, investigation numbers could set all-time records for both child abuse cases and elder abuse investigations. Since our last levy 10 years ago, there's been 6 tragic deaths of young children. All the victims were under 3 years of age. 5 died as a result of abusive head trauma, and 1 died from being smothered. In 2016, our children's services investigations jumped 176 reports, which required us to obviously hire more staff so we can provide effective services to families that we serve and work with. I know as of last week in the elder abuse unit, they actually have already surpassed their ending numbers of last year. And we still have a couple months left in the year, so they're going to be on top of that as well. I brought some handouts that just explains the levy, kind of the stuff I went over, and then on the back it's a breakdown of by city on how many reports of elder abuse and how many reports of children's services were in each town. If you guys want to take some of these, I don't know if I have enough for everybody. I apologize. Okay. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions. I don't want to take a lot of the time tonight, but I just want to make people aware that our levy is going to be on the ballot, and we'd appreciate any support so that we continue to provide services in Wood County. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Brandy, I've also followed your work closely. I usually show up at the pinwheels for the kids when you place them every year, and I see, unfortunately, what I see are pinwheels growing, and I don't necessarily see the number of social workers growing. I know that your workload is doubling and tripling with every new child that enters into your care and your needs. And I know how hard you work. This is not new money. This is just the same levy, and the same levy you've had for years and years and years.
Correct.
I also want you to know that I'm fully supportive of that and hope that the city of Bowling Green will come out on election night as showing that they they strongly support this levy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, do we have others who have signed up this evening?
Aaron Evanoff.
Sir, if you could please begin by stating your name and address for the record.
Aaron Evanoff, 1726 Spruce Drive, apartment 149 over at Stadium View.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, Mr. Mayor, and my fellow residents, good evening. I want to thank you all for your time real fast. I'll be brief. My name is Aaron Evanoff. I am an owner of a new and upcoming hot dog stand. It's called High Flying Hot Dogs. I am in the United States Air Force Air National Guard out of Toledo, Ohio. I'm a student at Bowling Green State University. I just came over to business school, and I'm also a new father. So a little bit about me real fast. So about High Flying Hot Dogs now, the real important part. So I got the idea actually in Gene Poor's class, and just for a feel, how many of you all know Gene? Okay. Yeah, I love that guy. He's wonderful. He actually inspired the idea though through just his normal coursework, and I've taken it and I've run with it. While I was deployed overseas for 6 months to the Middle East, I used my time while deployed to actually construct the idea of the hot dog stand, do a business layout, and make a plan of action. So when I returned home, I began to work on it, began building it, began setting it up, beginning events back home in Michigan. Now that I moved down here to Ohio, I like to bring that with me down here. I have one small problem though. And ladies and gentlemen of the council, I will be approaching the Planning Commission Wednesday to request an ordinance change. Currently, as the ordinance stands, I am very limited in what I'm able to do as a hot dog vendor. My primary target market, and I'm giving away my business secret, is the college students who exit the downtown area en route back to campus, sometimes under the influence of beverages. My goal is to provide a meaningful service to everyone involved in the community, though. So part of that is I want to be a good steward of the community. I'm not here to drive anyone out of business. I know it's a huge concern for people. I come from a small farm town. I know what it's like when things get hard. I watch a lot of places fold up, and I do not intend to let that happen to anyone. I'm not looking for anyone else's market. I'm looking to make my own. I also want to have some healthy and helpful competition too, to work together in the community to better our business district. And I also want to be able to participate in the community. I want you to call upon me to come to your children's birthday parties, your family gatherings, your weddings, whatever you have going on. I'd love for you to call me and say, Aaron, I want you to come out with your hot dog cart. Love to hire you. And I'd love to be there for you. And this is my home now. So I really want to be an active participant. I'd love for after I meet with the Planning Commission for the council to please take judgment into changes to amend the ordinance to allow me to vend a little more freely and allow me to prosper a little bit and help the community prosper some too. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I look forward to working with you in the future and seeing you around. Before I leave, are there any questions?
Did your hot dog vending machine win an award?
No, ma'am.
Were you you weren't the one that
No,
won.
ma'am. I just started this actually. I started hitting the ground back in October when I returned home from overseas. All right. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. Welcome to Bowling Green. Thank you all very much. That concludes our section up for lobby visitation. We will now move forward with official reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of council. I really don't have a formal report tonight. I know that will come as a surprise to you, but I'll spare you. But I do want to echo, as you did, the various sentiments expressed by Mr. Scrucci, our wonderful superintendent. And I suspect some of you saw my letter to the editor, and you've identified it. And it's something like you do. I feel very strongly about this. Although Nadine and I are products of another school system, our children, our daughters did go here. And Scott, you've identified some other communities. You don't have to go too far and wide. It just kind of say, oh my gosh. And our own hometown where we grew up, is unfortunately, sadly, has gone through some economically speaking tough times, and yet that community historically, only about 60 miles east of here, has always stood up for the schools. Their school facility, Mr. Scrucci was the principal of our home high school there, and they've always stood up for the schools first and foremost. And despite the fact that I know people are really hurting over there in so many different ways, and there's a long, rich history there and a lot of pride in the school system here. And for some reason, I don't know what has happened here over the years, where all these other neighboring school systems, I know we often talk about Perrysburg, but we don't have to throw the ball too far in too many directions here, not only in this county, but our neighboring counties. And I happened to have a detour the other day, and I was coming back over not far from where you did some teaching there, Bruce, earlier in your career. I mean, over way in Northwest Ohio there, more in the Hicksville area there, and Stryker and that there. And all of a sudden, I've come up with this beautiful, beautiful school system and called Fairview. I think it's Fairview. Just outstanding out there, you know, in the middle of kind of nowhere. But there it is, and so forth. So in any event, I really appreciate what Mr. Scrucci is doing, how hard he's worked as members of his board. They put a lot of time and effort into this, and I really commend them all for their good work in this regard. We do have I was happy to see Mr. Evanoff describing his interest in a new business venture. We have 2 new businesses coming to the downtown area, and one we'll be having. I just want to remind you about a ribbon cutting tomorrow at the Sugar Ridge Brewery. It's kind of really neat there in the Old Milliken Hotel. And then later on the 26th, we'll have another ribbon cutting there for yet another business, the Farm Girls. And we're excited about what they're going to bring to the Main Street area. And we have 2 more this month, too, but you'll hear about them in due course. And some of you have been very supportive in showing up at these ribbon cuttings. They're always kind of very, very special. I just also want to acknowledge, and because you'll be hearing from Heather Saylor here pretty soon, but Heather, I want to commend you and our consulting group for the planning award that you received in Athens, Ohio this last week, and for the best practice Court Street Connects program. A lot of us were involved in that whole program there, and to see it evolve, and also appreciate all the good charts out here in the hallway too. But I want to congratulate you, and I think you can maybe hit on some of the specifics there for the group, for all assembled here, I should say. And with that, I think that concludes my report, unless you have questions for me.
Are there questions for the mayor?
Busy times, interesting times, and but I appreciate all of your good work and leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
Municipal Administrator, Ms. Treader.
Good evening. A couple weeks from now will be the homecoming parade for BGSU. That's going to be on Friday, October 13th. It will start at 5:30 p.m. and they leave the area about near the Wooster Green and head down Wooster Street through to BGSU, and I think it ends there at Mercer is where they turn off. There will be road closures along the way, so people need to be mindful that Friday afternoon that perhaps maybe get downtown early and come see the parade. That would be a nice thing to do. As always, our safety forces are providing support, our public works providing logistical support, and our team is working cooperatively with BGSU to bring that through. And, you know, I know that the football team is struggling a bit, but it's always nice with homecoming to support BGSU, and it's just a nice time. The parade is very symbolic that it comes through town out to the university, so if you can support it, that would be wonderful. Our Citizens Academy has been meeting. We've had 2 sessions now, and they are going very well. So I hope that if you run into any members of the class, they've been very diligent in showing up and listening to all of us talk about things, and they'll be continuing on to meet our various departments. And the last item I have for you this evening is actually stemmed from our staff meeting today. Our grants administrator, Tina Bradley, was just giving a report. She was mentioning that, in August, we closed out our community development block grant for fiscal year 2016, and she rattled off a list. And Mayor Edwards said, well, that's an impressive list. We should share that with council. So I brought it for you just to remind you. We talk about this stuff a lot during budget, but of course, during budget, we don't always have this big of an audience, although we'd love to have you come and listen to our very exciting budget presentation that we give each year. But just so that you know what we did last year, so this would be for the period of September 1 of 2016 through August 31st of 2017. These are just the community development block grant funds. So, of course, we have other grant funding for transit and so forth. But with those funds in that last year, we did seven mobile home repair projects, 3 elderly home repair projects, 2 direct home ownership assistance projects, 2 home repairs, 1 rental rehabilitation, 97 BG Transit reduced fare ID cards that were issued to the elderly and the disabled, 113 homeless received transitional housing, and we do that through a partnership with the Salvation Army. And we also created 7 jobs via the business revolving loan fund. And that's just in a 1-year time span. So that completes my report this evening, subject to your questions.
Other questions for Lori?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that information. Planning Director, Ms. Saylor.
Good evening. As Mayor referred to, I was at the annual American Planning Association conference that was held in Athens, Ohio last week, and it was at Ohio University, a very beautiful campus. Of course, not as pretty as Bowling Green, but there are hills there, so we can't complain there. But we actually got a very exciting award, which I'll show you all, and we'll present it to obviously the mayor and all of you. But, you know, the community earned this award. The judges were really impressed by Court Street Connects. They thought it was a wonderful best practice that's innovative. It was transferred to other communities that could use it. And actually the judges were out of Wisconsin, so they try to make it very fair each year and rotate different states. So obviously people in Ohio aren't judging people in Ohio. So there was over 30 nominations, and this again is a category of best practice, one of 7 categories. So very exciting, but the evaluation criteria was innovation, creativity, transferability, and public participation. And they just basically said this is an outstanding planning award for Ohio, and you all should be very proud of yourself. We had excellent staff that helped between police, fire, and public works. It cut across the university with all the participants, volunteers, all of you that attended, and the food vendors, the art, the music. I mean, it's just amazing, and they were very impressed. The whole day I had people congratulating us, and they were excited to come to Bowling Green because they hadn't been here in years, and they're excited about our Town and Gown conference that's coming up next year. And so I think we should all just be really proud of ourselves, especially our community, because again, this wouldn't have happened with one person. It was many of us all together. So really proud of that. Also wanted to let you know that we still need community action plan comments. We have received about close to 0 since the open house. So that's very concerning that we haven't heard from the public yet. So I really need you all to read the plan and get your comments to us. October 13th was our deadline. If we need to extend that, we will. However, we really would like people to really focus on that. It's really important too. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions for Heather?
Just like to congratulate you on that. It was a community involvement, but you certainly hit it up. Great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. President, I would also like to thank all the citizens who came out and helped make it all possible. There were a lot of people that weren't connected with the land use plan or the city, and they helped build things, came out and spent the day, brought their children, enjoyed a little bit of food. And music, and made the event a success. A lot of work went into it by our citizenry also.
Heather, I'd just comment that you are a terrific planning director in all kinds of ways, and this award really has your imprint, and great job.
Thank you. And Bruce is being shy. The bike lane would not have happened without Bruce and his chalk painting skills. So thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to add the furniture sales would not have been as good without the mayor's wife either. She spent the day waiting to buy furniture.
Parks and Recreation Director, Ms. Otley.
Yes, I am a little sore from yesterday, but it was a great event yesterday at the community center. So the second of our celebrity basketball game. I was going to thank Mr. Scroochie, Mr. Downtown, but he's not here. I would say he can't make an up-close shot, but he can make an outside shot. But I just have a couple things. So segue to Heather talking about Court Street Connects and Sandy, your comment about the furniture. So the proceeds from that went to the Parks and Recreation Foundation for Ridge Park. There's a designated line item in there. And there is a Ridge Park Programming Committee that we have put together along with Councilman Gordon. And they have planned the, and it doesn't say this on here, but it is the second annual Ridge Park Birthday Bash. And that is coming up on Sunday, October 15th. So after the crop walk, you can come on over and have some well-deserved fun at Ridge Park from 3 to 6. And there will be live music, food, fun, and games at Ridge Park. So Sandy, and just a couple other things coming up. We're always busy in Parks and Rec, but there's a lot of cool October events. So coming back, I believe the last time we did this was 4 or 5 years ago. JJ Kawashima is putting on another of her All About Sushi classes, and this is a fundraiser for Simpson Garden Park. So the money that you pay for the class goes directly to the foundation. And that is on Wednesday, October 11th from 7 to 9 at the Simpson building. And you get to learn all about sushi, but also help in making some rolls. You get to taste, and then you get to take some home. So that was pretty popular several years ago. So she volunteered to bring that back. And last but not least, there's a theme here because second annual. The second annual BG Zombie Mud Run will be October 22nd. Out behind the community center is our obstacle course. And this is a great partnership. Mr. Scroochie was talking about all the partnerships that the schools have in Bowling Green. Parks and Rec partners with the schools quite a bit as well. You cannot have quality of life without schools and parks jointly together. So I'll just throw that out there as Kristen Otley. But the DECA program worked hand in hand with us last year and again on putting this on. They go out and solicit sponsorships, do the marketing. They're dressed up as some of the zombies. We have lots more volunteers as well because you need lots of zombies. But the schools and the DECA program specifically have been a great, great partner. This is not just for kids. This is for all ages. We did have our superhero run in the spring that was just kids, but this is for all ages. So it's a lot of fun. Yes, it is muddy, but we have some hoses there where you can shower off. It'll be some post-event parties and things like that out there. It's at 1 o'clock on, I believe that is a Sunday, October 22nd. So I'll pass that down. And other than that, that is the end of my report, unless anyone has questions of me.
Questions for Kristen?
Kristen, my wife brought sushi home from Perrysburg this evening. It was pretty good. I think that this might be the key to our competition with them, maybe as much as the schools.
There you go. Yeah. She can learn how to make her own and buy the products in town. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Marsh.
This isn't law, but the growing season is about done, and if you, this might have been the best our cemetery has looked all summer in many years that I can remember. Those guys really do a terrific job out there. They really do. We have the nicest looking cemetery in Northwest Ohio, I think, and I just thought somebody ought to mention that. We kind of take it for granted, so do I. But it always looks great. It really looked great this summer. That's it.
Question for you. Where does the charter amendment stand? I understand there was a lawsuit filed to try to stop it, or a motion or whatever, and where does that stand?
It's pending with the Ohio Supreme Court. along with some others. There were other counties where there were also lawsuits that came from. To my knowledge, there's been no indication of when we could expect a decision. One could hope that it's going to be before early voting starts, but it's up to the court.
The closest you can recall is a week before the election, or?
Well, I don't know about any other county, but just because with one of my other hats on, our ballots are already printed. It's going to be on the ballot. Whether or not people actually vote on it or whether or not it's actually counted, it's going to be up to the court. But you can't wait until the day before people vote to set up those systems. So it's already in place. It's already done. But I suppose early voting starts, I think, Wednesday, October 11th. So still a little over a week to go here. I would like to think we're going to get a decision sometime before then, but I guess I don't know how you know that. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Appreciate it. Utilities Director, Mr. O'Connell.
No report.
Other questions for Brian?
I do have a question, Brian, on the Betco project with their use of the right-of-way for drainage. I was looking at that. Is it, if you could just describe that a little bit. And the only real concern I have is water drainage from Belleville and Pheasant Farms area. Over the years, there's been some problems there. Would this have any impact on that drainage system?
No, that's a totally separate drainage area than the ditch along Newton Road, which is what they're proposing to get back. We went back and looked at our files, and we found some records that talked about how that came about. The previous owner of the plant was Cooper, and there was talk about incorporating their detention into the relocation of the ditch to the north side of that property along Newton Road. I don't know why that happened. I can't say what the reasoning was at the time, but the bulk of that area is detention area for that property. So if they want to take it back and have it, then that's okay with me. So I can share the documents we have in our office on that correspondence. There's only a couple pages that we have in there from that time, but I can share that with you.
Good, thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Public Works Director, Mr. Kraft.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank Mike for bringing that up about Oak Grove. I don't do a very good job of patting our guys on the back publicly. I think a lot of our guys really don't want it, but they do a good job day in and day out, and I should recognize them just the same. But the guys out at Oak Grove are Tim Hammer, Danny Geyer. Grant Jones works out there a lot, taking care of the trees. Mike Hammer as well. We go out there all the time. We try to find what are we not doing, what needs to be done, and a lot of times it's just routine maintenance. The fence is going to stand. They need to be painted one of these years on the perimeter because it's about 20 years old now. But I appreciate you bringing that up, Mike. Means a lot. Road projects. Kind of Sandy asked last meeting where we're at with some streets in South Church, North Grove, and Evers got milled off and repaved. That's just the base course. Pavers are gone for a couple of weeks. The concrete guys will come in and do the curbs and sidewalks. Then at the end of the month, the pavers will come back and do the surface course in all those streets. Coming up the week of October 9th, you'll see work on Wolfley. It's a combined sewer project that's going to go in. Underground Utilities is the contractor. That is between Main and Grove. And I believe there's a lot of sewers that kind of cut in the back and all over the place. We're going to get a sewer out front. The Woodbridge project out there, the city met with the contractor in a pre-construction meeting last week. He's getting his structures ordered for the sewer systems and the fittings for the pipe, water line pipe. They look to start out there at the end of October. with an aggressive schedule to hopefully be getting the street paved near the end of November, early December. So hopefully weather cooperates that time of the year. Finally, brush collection. We are still in Ward 4. Should get done probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday. We got quite a bit yet to go, and it's pretty heavy in Ward 4. And that's my report. And if any questions of me.
Questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jeffers.
the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee have an ordinance vacating approximately 90 feet of right-of-way adjacent to Betco Corporation on Newton Road and declaring an emergency.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino.
from the Transportation and Safety Committee, we have a resolution adopting the Bowling Green Fire Division Standards of Cover for 2017.
Thank you, John. Do we have council committee reports this evening? Seeing none, we will move forward to the reading of legislation.
Legislation for first reading. Resolution number 3680 for first reading. Resolution adopting the Bowling Green Fire Division Standards of Cover for 2017. Ordinance number 8632 for first reading. Ordinance vacating approximately 90 feet of right-of-way adjacent to Betco Corporation on Newton Road and declaring an emergency. Legislation for second reading. Ordinance number 8630 for second reading. Ordinance amending and adopting changes to sections of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding city fees and fees charged for services.
I would like to move to amend ordinance 8630 by substitution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I would just comment that the reason for the amendment is to include revised fees for the public transit program in this legislation. Kay, would you please call the roll?
Jeffers.
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Seeliger.
Yes.
Zanfordino.
Yes.
Osbacher.
Yes. The motion passes. The, ordinance 8630 is amended by substitution.
Ordinance number 8631 for second reading. Ordinance repealing Chapter 118 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding emergency alarms. Legislation for third reading. Resolution number 3679 for third reading. Resolution amending and adopting changes to the procurement manual for the Housing Revolving Loan Fund and Community Development Block Grant Fund.
I'll move to approve resolution 3679.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Roland.
Yes.
Seeliger.
Yes.
Zanfordino.
Yes.
Osbacher.
Yes.
Jeffers.
Yes.
The motion passes. Resolution 3679 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8622 for third reading and as amended last week or 2 weeks ago. An ordinance amending and adopting section 33.23A and C of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding medical and dental insurance.
I move to adopt ordinance 8622.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Seeliger.
Yes.
Zanfordino.
Yes.
Osbacher.
Yes.
Jeffers.
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
The motion passes. Ordinance 8622 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8623 for third reading. Ordinance establishing a video service provider fee to be paid by any video service provider offering video service in the city and authorizing the municipal administrator to give notice to the video service provider of the video service provider fee.
I move to adopt ordinance 8623.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Kay, would you please call the roll?
Zanfordino.
Yes.
Osbacher.
Yes.
Jeffers.
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Seeliger.
Yes.
The motion passes. Ordinance 8623 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8624 for third reading. Ordinance accepting a utility easement from CTE Limited Principal Business Enterprises.
I move to adopt ordinance 8624.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Osbacher?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Seeliger?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
The motion passes. Ordinance 8624 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8625 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into a contract or contracts with Paul Corporation for the purchase of microfiltration modules without advertising, and to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts for the installation of the microfiltration modules at the water treatment plant.
I move to adopt ordinance 8625.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Jeffers?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Seeliger?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes. The motion passes. Ordinance 8625 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8628 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the sale or disposal of miscellaneous transit service vehicles by the municipal administrator as no longer necessary for municipal purposes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino.
I move that we adopt ordinance 8628.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Roland?
Yes.
Seeliger?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Osbacher?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes.
The motion passes. Ordinance 8628 is adopted. That completes the items on their agenda this evening. Is there any other business to come before council?
Mr. President,
Ms. Rowland.
I'd like to move to excuse Councilperson Gordon and Councilperson McCormick, or Bob.
Second.
McCumber.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Members McComber and Gordon are excused. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Mr. President, I have one more item. Since we have discussed the charter amendment proposal and we've dealt with the pipeline, and our citizens might be appreciative of hearing our perspectives on it, and this is no expectation that anybody else has to speak now, but a couple things I want to say. First, with the history of our involvement in the pipeline, it was determined the Nexus pipeline would cross city-owned property, and the city council chose to reject the easement request for our inadvertent 30-acre property on King Road. Local environmentalists have pushed us to try to stop the river crossing of the pipeline near our water treatment plant and near the BG fault by encouraging council in the filing of a motion to intervene with FERC or to file a lawsuit in court. Mayor Edwards, with the full support of the council, brought in a panel of geological and hydrological experts. Their opinions about the hazards of the drilling operation were not unanimous, other than to agree that further analysis should be conducted before drilling under the river. We did receive a response from Nexus, FERC, the Ohio EPA, and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources related to our main safety concerns about the drilling operation. We have been given some assurances that there will be careful oversight of the drilling operation, and I hope that this will be the case. We in Bowling Green are not the experts on pipelines, nor are we given the authority to regulate pipelines. That is the job of FERC. This is beyond our expertise and power, and we have done all that we can up to this point, and I believe that our actions have been appropriate. With regard to the charter amendment, this charter would include the right of citizens to decide whether or not the pipeline project can proceed, presumably across our 30-acre parcel on King Road, since that is the only place the construction will occur on city property. I find the amendment cumbersome and its implications extensive. It seems it would empower any person to decide for all of us what we will allow in our city in terms of energy infrastructure and environmental protection. Equally important, it seems that this charter amendment would have almost no chance of standing up in court. In my view, the most important thing for us to do now is to continue our work for renewable energy projects and in the extremely aggressive way we've been doing for the last decade. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Is there any other business this evening? Okay, I think it's been moved and seconded for,
I didn't get anybody.
oh, I'm sorry. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Excuse me, Aaron. I have
Okay.
a question for you. Yes, sir. I'm John. Nice to meet you.